Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sports Talk. Today it's going to be a little bit different, kind of recap. I'm just going to kind of talk about what happened in Week 4. So, to start things out, Michigan shutting out BYU 31-0. I was very surprised. Actually, I really thought BYU was going to not necessarily win, but I did expect them to put up a big fight. And it was 31-0 at halftime, so there was just no scoring in the second half. But for Michigan, I think they're really, especially from Week 1, they have improved so much. And I see a very big potential in this team in the next couple seasons. They're already showing a lot of confidence under Harbaugh, just like everybody knew would happen. But I didn't know it was going to happen so quick, and to beat a team as badly, like BYU, as badly as they did, considering BYU had only had one loss, and that was at UCLA, and they only lost by 1 point. And UCLA is a top 10 team, so it could just be BYU lost a lot of confidence from that game, and they didn't put in their full effort. But then again, Michigan could have just simply outplayed and outcoached them. Either way, Michigan, a statement win, and I think they're definitely going to creep into the Big Ten talk here. Because to me, they've looked more impressive than Ohio State has. I know Ohio State, they played better Saturday, but Michigan is pretty much blown out 3 teams in a row, while Ohio State they've won, but not very impressively. So to me, Michigan has looked quite a bit better than Ohio State. Like I said, very interested to see how that is going to turn out in the Big Ten. You have Wisconsin that only had that one loss to Alabama. You have Iowa that's unbeaten, Northwestern's unbeaten. So they look pretty strong this season. I know they're going to kind of tear each other up through the season, but the conference does look a lot stronger than they have in recent years. So now I want to talk about TCU barely escaping Texas Tech in a high-scoring game, 55-52. Very exciting game. Trevon Boykin threw 485 yards and 4 touchdowns. Just as expected, this was a very high-scoring game, a lot of offense and not too much defense. But you got to be impressed with how Texas Tech how they performed in that game. They came in 3-0, just knocking off Arkansas. They came with a lot of confidence. I like what Cliff Kingsbury's done. Their quarterback that he picked is doing great, and they really hung in there like they were a top team. So, not what I expected coming. I mean, I didn't expect them to be blown out by no means, but I didn't expect them to almost win the game on a last-second touchdown and only lose by 3 points. So give them a lot of credit for their preparation and their execution in that game. And UCLA knocking off Arizona 56-30. Now the score is not great, but the score looks better than how it actually was. It was 56-23 before UCLA gave up a score late in the game, but UCLA, they looked dominant. They looked very dominant in that game. Arizona, honestly I expected Arizona to win, but for them to come out there and score 28 points in the second quarter, Josh Rosen, 284 yards and 2 scores. He's just a freshman. Wait till he is a junior, and if he's there till his senior season, he is going to be fantastic as he just continues to mature and get better. Arizona lost Scooby Wright again to a foot injury for several weeks. Hopefully he can be back soon. It's got to be a big blow to this team. But Arizona's still a talented team, but UCLA coming off that big win against BYU and then coming in and blowing out Arizona. Unexpected, but very, very good performance from this team. Then Utah blowing out Oregon in Oregon, 62-20. This was probably the most unexpected. I thought Oregon was going to win in the first place, but then I saw they were losing at half, and I'm like, it's kind of weird they're losing by almost 2 touchdowns at half. And then to turn it over to the game, and they were down 55-13 at that time. It was very shocking. Very unexpected. Oregon has now dropped out of the top 25, I do believe. And Utah, give them a lot of credit. Their defense, they have possibly the best defensive front in the country. Stopping Oregon's run game. The pass game didn't look effective. Travis Wilson threw for 227 yards and 4 touchdowns. So they dominated Oregon's defense. And to me, that win has got to be more impressive than Michigan State's win over them. Michigan State won by 3 points. And I'm not saying it's not a good win, because it is a good win. It's a great win. But what I'm saying is they were home. They won by 3 points. Utah traveled to Oregon and beat them by 42 points. Utah is showing they are a legitimate playoff contender if they can win out. If they can win out, I think there's a very good chance that they do make the playoff. But there has to be a lot that goes in their favor. I think Michigan State's going to have to lose, or Ohio State. Maybe TCU would get knocked off, or Baylor. Those are 4 of the top 5 teams. So, and I think a lot of those teams are going to lose. I do expect Ohio State to drop one at some point. I expect Michigan State to drop one at some point. And also TCU and Baylor. I don't think any of those teams are going to go unbeaten. I think Ohio State or Michigan State, the winner of that game, has a good chance of going unbeaten, because they're both pretty good teams. With, I know for Ohio State, pretty easy schedule. Michigan State, with the talent they have, it'll be a winnable schedule. But still, you can't count anybody out in that conference right now playing at a high level. So a lot of surprises for me. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this week. In Texas is going to be at TCU. I know Texas is only 1-3, but the last 2 games have been heartbreaking loss because of special teams miscues. So Texas is starting to play some good football. They're just having bad endings on special teams, so don't count them out. West Virginia and Oklahoma, that's going to be a pretty exciting game. I expect that to be pretty high scoring. Iowa unbeaten, traveling to Wisconsin. Texas Tech and Baylor, just talked about Texas Tech, but Baylor with that very, very high-powered offense. Interested to see if Texas Tech's defense is going to be able to slow them down any. Alabama and Georgia, very, very interesting game there. Both are very talented teams. It's going to be at Georgia, so advantage Georgia. Georgia has Nick Chubb and a quarterback that's done pretty decent. The offense has done very well. The defense has done very well. They're a very balanced team, whereas Alabama is going to be relying on their defense to stop Nick Chubb and that high-powered offense. They have not really found their rhythm offensively. I think they found their guy in Jake Coker, but how he's going to perform, I'm not sure. They have Derrick Henry, big weapon there. They have to use him. The offensive line has to give him holes to run through. But I think Georgia's talent is just too much. Alabama cannot just rely on their defense to hold them into the game. But again, Alabama might surprise me and come out and play great offense, so you just never know. And now I want to talk about Ole Miss in Florida. Florida coming off that huge comeback win over Tennessee, and Ole Miss coming off a sloppy performance against Vanderbilt. And so, I mean, who has the edge in this game? I would have to say probably Florida. I still think Ole Miss, I'm picking Ole Miss to win, but I think Florida has a slight edge, home field advantage, a dominant defense, and a whole lot of momentum coming off of last week especially. But the thing is, how are they going to respond to a win like last week? They're going to have to find that out. And Ole Miss is not going to be an easy game. Of course, neither was Alabama, and they already proved they can win big games. So I think they're going to pull another big game off. They're 7.5-point favorites as of this point. And I'm very excited to see that game, though. Very intriguing matchup there. Notre Dame and Clemson. Notre Dame 4-0, Clemson 3-0, coming off a bye week. Deshaun Watson and that Clemson offense against the Fighting Irish, who haven't been slowed down whatsoever by injuries. So I don't know who's gonna win. I'm kind of leaning toward Notre Dame in a way. I don't know why. I just feel like that they kind of have that luckiness to them right now. But we could see Clemson come out and play absolutely dominant. Very, very interested to see who's gonna win that game. Texas A&M, Mississippi State, that ought to be a good game. 4-0 Texas A&M, 3-1 Mississippi State. Both pretty talented teams with that much improved Texas A&M defense. I think A&M wins this one by at least 3. UCLA, Arizona State. UCLA should be able to handle them pretty well, because Arizona State has not lived up to the expectations of this season. So hopefully they can get that turned around at some point. Arizona and Stanford, very interesting matchup. Arizona coming off that awful loss to UCLA, and Stanford picking up some momentum in the Pac-12. At Stanford, I think Stanford wins. Very close game, though. They're 14-point favorites as of this point, but I think Stanford wins by at least a touchdown. So So that wraps this video up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, this is Sports Talk, heading out.